There's something about A24, Roy Thompson Hall, and TIFF that really gets me in the mood to cry. Last year, it was We Live in Time, where I was sobbing like a baby starting 5 minutes in. And this year, it is David Frayne's Eternity. It is about love, it is about loss and acceptance, and I thought it was a very beautiful movie. This was the world premiere, and before I went into the theater, I stopped by the red carpet. I got to see everybody get out of the cars. They looked so stunning.
Can I get a photo? Let me get a selfie, please, please. Selfie.
Get everybody.
Can I get a selfie, brother, please? Please. I need a photo. Hey, let me get a photo with you. Hey, miss, let me get a photo. Hey, come back. No.
And afterwards, there was a Q&A with David Frayne, Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, Caleb Turner, Divine Joy Randolph, and John Early. So we had a lot of the cast members there, like essentially the main cast members.
Miles Teller, Elizabeth Olsen, Callum Turner, Divine Joy Randolph, and John Early.
And I will insert a small clip at the end, but I won't put a lot in there because it is very spoilery, and I do not want to spoil you for this movie. Also, hello, if you're new here, hi, I'm Victoria, your Toronto pop culture girly, and I am covering TIFF 50 this year. I've been doing a lot of coverage with my friend producer Liz for her channel and her podcast, Late Night Scrolling, the Canadian Pop Culture Pod, so you can check out a lot of our other coverage on those channels and platforms. Everything will be listed down below. Starting off, I wanted to read what was on the TIFF website. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I will give you the short blurb and the longer blurb, and then my spoiler-free thoughts. If you want to go in blind but just kind of know the concept at the highest non-spoilery level, this is what TIFF's website has to say. Set in the afterlife, this stirring drama from director David Frayne features Elizabeth Olsen and Miles Teller as souls in transit and a troubled love triangle. So that is between Caleb Turner's character, Miles Teller's character, and Elizabeth Olsen's. Even though it is set with loss in the afterlife, it is truly a rom-com with a lot of heart in it. And for a longer description from the TIFF website, again, I would say skip to the timestamp after this. If you don't want any more details, it feels like it could lend towards more spoiler territory. I don't think it fully is, because the movie is really about the story, not really about the specific outcome or choice in the love triangle or anything, because there are a lot of choices and a lot of paths we go down in this movie. But if you don't want to hear this, skip to the next timestamp and I will give you my spoiler-free thoughts. Out of everyone you have ever loved, who should be your partner in the hereafter? This is the question at the core of transporting fantasy dramedy from David Frayne, starring Elizabeth Olsen, Caleb Turner, and Miles Tellers as souls in transit tangled in a troubled love triangle. Following decades of marriage, elderly couple Joan and Larry die within a week of each other. That means they needn't wait long to reunite in the afterlife, a way station where every soul has 1 week to decide who to spend the rest of eternity with. Here, everyone reverts to the appearance and age of their happiest moments, hence the young cast. For Joan and Larry, the answer would seem straightforward, but enter Luke, Joan's first husband who died in the Korean War and has been waiting 67 years to have his one and only back in his arms. Does Joan choose to revive the passionate love of her youth, or does she stick with the time-tested fortitude of her second marriage? An ingeniously original contribution to the afterlife as bureaucracy subgenre fostered in films like Albert Brooks' Defending Your Life and Hirokazu Koreeda's Afterlife, Eternity is at heart about the dilemmas we all face surrounding desire and devotion. Olsen, Turner, and Teller each offer playful, heartfelt performances, immersing us in a milieu that is at once fanciful and somehow familiar. Now that was a lot, and this is why I said it could end up very spoilery, giving the background to a lot of these characters. But really at the heart of this movie is Joan kind of accepting who and where and what kind of love that she has for both of these men that she loves so much. Getting into my spoiler-free thoughts, I am someone who is familiar to death. and I found this movie very comforting. It is funny in a lot of places. There is this idea of bureaucracy that goes throughout the movie. I don't think that's really a spoiler, especially with the language with themes of transit and these souls in transit in what they're deciding. And one of the big questions is what if? And I think they navigated it beautifully. The chemistry between the cast is stellar, and you really feel both relationships that Elizabeth Olsen has with Larry and with Luke. But as I said earlier, it's not really about the outcome that she chooses at the end. And I had a friend who said this is what she wanted out of Materialist, but it's really just about the journey to the end and when everybody is choosing their eternities. And I will not spoil the ending, but I do really like how everybody gets a chance and thought behind their eternity that they choose, just the love and relationships between the entire cast. And I really loved how within the script and the performances, you are cheering on every single character in what they choose for themselves in their afterlife, and I think it's very satisfying in the end. Again, obviously, I cried, especially just at the thoughts and the what ifs of what could have been about losing the people you love at different points in your life. But I think it was executed beautifully. There is laughter, there is crying, it's sentimental. It doesn't take itself too seriously, even though they have a lot of serious moments. They have a way of taking the heaviness and lightening it. And one character that I really loved the most was Anna, who was played by Divine Joy. She was incredible. At first, on the surface level, between her and Ryan, on the surface, it seems like they're very superficial characters, but you get a punch of depth from Anna, and it just made me really happy because you really don't know what's going on in everybody's lives around you. And I think the movie did a good job at showing you to consider that a lot more. Now, my only kind of gripe I have in this movie is the fact that in those moments when they're kind of lighting up the mood, there's a couple scenes where it's kind of very abrupt, where we're getting into a very serious moment and they essentially cut it short. But that is life. It's not perfect. And overall, the effect is really well done. And I think the message that they were trying to tell, because that is one thing in the Q&A that the director said, is like, was there multiple options for the ending? And the answer was no. So I really loved the conviction in that choice of what felt best for everybody in this movie. And before I finish the video, this movie was filmed in Vancouver. We love it when movies are filmed in Canada, and you could definitely tell that they were filming around Vancouver for this movie. And as a little fun aside, when they were filming this movie, my brother was training for another ultra marathon, something. He is that guy who does like ultra marathons and stuff. In any case, he runs a lot, and when he was running around the city for training, one day he texted me. He was like, I thought I saw Elizabeth Olsen. And so I looked it up. They were filming Eternity, and I told him, I'm like, that was definitely Elizabeth Olsen. So then he immediately FaceTimed me and turned around and ran the other direction, and I saw two tiny little figures go past him in the back, because obviously he wasn't going to stop them or, I don't know, draw attention to them. But as he was running on FaceTime with me, he was like, that was her. So that was a fun little side, and it was one of the main reasons that this movie was on my radar. I definitely think this movie is worth watching when it does come out. If you love A24, We Live in Time, just a real actual rom-com, even though it's in the afterlife and technically everyone is dead, it is truly a rom-com with a love triangle and hard decisions, but everything feels so good and so satisfying, so juicy at the end. Do check this out. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Victoria Organa. You can find me everywhere. Again, Producer Liz and Late Night Scrolling will have our continued TIFF coverage. But yeah, I really like the movie. Bye!
And yeah, we just kind of created the idea of what it would be to be in this chaotic place where everyone is, this limbo where they have to choose where to go. And then we had so much fun devising all the different worlds and the ideas, all these ideas, different ideas of happiness and what it means to be happy. And so the idea of like a tourism expo, which is chaotic and crazy, felt kind of right and surrounded with this artificial sky and artificial space.
I grew up with a lot of men who were, you know, devoted to their wife and put a lot of their, we're always going to, you know, want to try and make her happy, and her happiness was his happiness. And I just thought this was a beautiful way to kind of take a peek behind the curtain of people that you just passed in the grocery store, but people that kind of stuck it out. And it just affected me greatly.
Yeah, so this is an unofficial Titanic sequel. Yeah, James Cameron's gonna sue.
He's coming for you.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.